Hey, it's Julie. For this episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast, the tables are turned. Dresden Cincurak is going to interview me. I hope I'm a decent guest. Stay tuned. We'd like to thank Advantage Anywhere for sponsoring this episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. At Advantage Anywhere, we understand senior living communities. Our customizable CRM and automation system is designed to help you convert more leads into move-ins faster, easier, and with less manual effort. With personalized follow-up automations, your team can focus on what matters most, spending time with prospects to get more move-ins. Visit www.advantageanywhere.com to see how we can help you get more move-ins with less stress.
Well, good morning, Julie.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being my guest on our Grow Your Occupancy podcast as we flip the script a little bit. And instead of you interviewing, then I will be interviewing. I'm very excited.
I get to be the guest today.
You do get to be the guest today. So you're in the hot seat, as they would say.
All right.
So I'm sure a lot of people have, this has come up with me in conferences about how did Grow Your Occupancy start? So tell us a little bit, Julie, about where you came up with the idea for Grow Your Occupancy.
Well, prior to being on the operator side in the business, well, I originally started as a sales director in a community. And then I helped another person build her business up, her consulting business to tremendous success. I didn't have any ownership in that business, but I always treat any job I have as if it were my business. I went back on the operator side. I spent 8 years in VP of sales roles, and then my family, we moved from Southwest Florida to here in the greater Nashville area to start Tradition Senior Living, which merged not soon after with Vitality Senior Living to become Vitality Living. So I was CMO, CSO there as part of that original kind of partner group. But I always had that longing to go back to, or say back to, but to grow, no pun intended, a platform of excellent sales coaching, training, and building infrastructures, writing playbooks, expectations, benchmarks. And the reason that I decided, instead of kind of Julie Podewitz consulting, to start Grow Your Occupancy was to build a bigger platform, a bigger stage on which for me to stand, and to be able to develop a team. And right now we're 18 strong of excellent sales specialists that can support a greater range of owner operators, investor groups. And Vitality is our client. Vitality Living was one of our clients. And so it was a very positive transition from going from CSO to starting my own business, jumping off a cliff. Did it during COVID, and our daughter was heading to college, and not exactly opportune, but when is it opportune to sort of take that risk? And I'm so glad I did. And we're, wildly successful because of the results, right? As they're only as good as the results that we provide our clients. But we're continuing to want to grow and really, again, do the right thing always by our clients and get them the results that they want. So that's Absolutely. Kind of the why behind starting it the way and creating it, building the infrastructure in this business to be able to do what we're doing now. And now we just continue to grow. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I personally, when you shared what your vision was, I immediately was like, I'm all in. Let's go. This sounds right up my alley. And it was really fun to kind of explore, what can we do? Where are we going to go with this? And I think a lot of the feedback that I get from the conference, when I'm meeting people in the conference, they're like, man, Julie was so smart to jump on Grow Your Occupancy. And I was speaking with somebody at SHN last week, and they were like, "So, what company do you work for?" And I said, "I work with Grow Your Occupancy." And they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I was like, "We grow your occupancy." And they're
Well,
like, "Wow, that's smart marketing, you know?"
it's funny because coming up with a business name was so challenging, and now the name sounds intuitive and logical, and it is, but you wouldn't believe how difficult it was. And it was in the middle of the night. Someone had asked me, was it our CIO actually from Vitality, or from the former company, said, "Hey, well, what is it that you're going to be doing?" Because I was asking everybody about business names, and of course looking at, and I'm a startup, it's just me, right, starting it
Yeah,
up, and looking at how much a website, the URL costs, and some of them are, $20,000. So that we have to take that into consideration. But what's the outcome? Because I was
right,
thinking of fancy names, or names that were, didn't really have anything to do with sales. And I was like, well, we help people grow their occupancy. And
right.
yeah, grow your sales was taken, or was $20,000. And certainly we're the front end, but we also have operations support. And because we know it's sales and ops together, that's ultimately going to grow occupancy. So it makes intuitive
Absolutely.
sense, but it didn't come naturally, and until maybe I relaxed my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have a wonderful brain, which is why we love following you. And I can personally attest to, I was very successful as a sales director prior to, partnering with you. How many years ago? 10
Yeah,
years ago
yep, I
almost.
hired you as a sales director, and then you got quickly promoted. And one of the reasons I called you, as soon as I got too busy to do things myself, I think to myself, well, who has the same mindset, similar mindset? And as an entrepreneur, it's a balance of saying yes, and just going for it and taking risks and building infrastructure. And as you know, I'm big on systems, processes, workflows, platforms, and organization, and balancing as a small business. And that now we're in our 4.5 year, and most businesses fail, right? And consulting businesses fail at a huge rate. It's balancing growth and the ability to support that growth, and not grow internally too quick to be too heavy on from an operations or from a staffing perspective, but have enough to support the growth, and be able to really get out there and spread the word, if you will. It's a continued balance, and I think we've done a really great job. I really do. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of, like, looking on the business of Grow,
Mhm.
how, like, we follow our own systems and processes and rules, if you will, in building our business as we help others build theirs. So
Absolutely.
uh,
And I love that you mentioned, that about the startups and kind of how difficult it is to start a startup. Being
it is.
entrepreneurial minded, not
Mhm.
all businesses make it out of the gate for the first year, and certainly up until I think it's statistics show that once you hit like your fifth year, if you're still in business, you're probably doing all right. How do you attribute the fact that you're in the top 1% of startups? Like, what advice would you give to other entrepreneurs?
Yeah, and I'm super proud of that too. And women owned and operated, we're even in a higher, like a 0.05%. And success in this case is measured by revenue. And so, like you said, most businesses, startups fail statistically, and then consulting businesses fail because it's a challenging business. And selling and doing what we do is challenging in every way. It's challenging to execute on this business, and it's challenging to sell it. And I've said this to you before, Dresden, but running Grow Your Occupancy is very much like running a community. And that is, customers come to us with a need. They need us. They don't really want us necessarily, just like prospects call, they need you, but they don't really want it. And so we're a lot of nurturing, and it makes intuitive sense. Of course, everybody would hire Grow, and they don't necessarily all do, and for various reasons. But when they reach out, and then when they do engage, with us, it's like your residents moving in. We're very successful and smooth, onboarding. and then the continued relationship, and then the execution of the work, and the results and the outcomes, because that's what it's all about. And then most of our clients just stay with us, and they have multiple buildings or multiple assets, or they start with us with maybe a SWOT analysis, and then they'll add, playbooks and coaching and onboarding and virtual sales support. We're really grateful that we have a full marketing team now. We do everything from all digital marketing to traditional marketing to SEO. So I attribute it to a couple of things. One is that I'm very fortunate that I have through all the years met some just phenomenal people, and develop professional relationships to like yours, for instance, either people that work for me, with me. So, originally you have too, you brought on some sales specialist people that you've worked with, not that from clients, but from the past. And we know their work ethic and their kindness. It's so important for me to work with kind people, hardworking drivers, people with entrepreneurial mindsets to take that risk, leave really good jobs to join the team. And so it's a combination of that constant drive I feel like I wake up every day and I earn my job every day, or I start the business every day. I really truly feel that way. And able to attract great people, and then just dogged determination on staying on the front end. So
Absolutely.
conferences, we do, a lot of marketing. Certainly this podcast, I've met a lot of people doing a podcast. We do, some digital efforts, but mostly it's knowing people and one client at a time. And now we're getting referrals. So and then I also, one last thing is, we do just do Grow Your Business. So any entrepreneurs out there who are starting a business or continuing business and may want to take things to the next level, if you will, we're here for you on that side of it. But it is balancing infrastructure and sales.
Absolutely.
Right?
Guarding your time. Yeah.
Yep.
Guarding your time. Stuff that we talk about frequently, it's building this business has been a lot like building occupancy within a community. It's that polite persistence. It's that, it's the drive, it's the determination, it's the unwillingness to give up, relentless pursuit of success.
It is
And,
relentless pursuit.
and always in the back of our mind, I don't think any of us ever think about if this was ever going to fail. I don't think any of us that have been part of the team, especially those of us that have kind of been here from day one, right? That we're like, there's no way that this is going to fail. And a lot of times we're scratching our heads like, wait a minute, how did we not get there from here? That kind of thing, like, or excuse me, that's more of why don't they want to use us? And it's understanding the needs of our partners, our potential partners. Understanding that need. Yeah. Understanding that need and saying, let's build something for you. Right. It's not cookie cutter. It's let's identify what is really at the root cause of what you need to grow your occupancy. And then how can we work together to solve the occupancy puzzle?
Right. No, to your point, it's not cookie cutter. And I didn't sit down 4.5, 5 years ago and think, oh, let's have virtual sales specialists and this is how it's going to work. And I did not know that. It came upon after a conversation at a conference, and that relationship is continuing today from a virtual sales specialist perspective. You are our very first virtual sales specialist, and it's grown, and we learn, like I said, I feel like I earn my job every day. I feel like I start a business every day, and keeping an open mind of how do we do things better, or, oh, you know what, yes, okay, now this is what we need, right? So keeping the door always open for continued, like you said, that relentless pursuit of continued improvement, and understanding what the client needs, because what the client needs and what they want or what they pay for may be those may be different things. Right. And so really determining, because I wish everyone would do a SWOT, but or not everybody, but a lot. And because in that we really can identify, because not everybody wants to do one, or it's not going to fit in their budget. Another thing is too, Dresden, we're really budget conscious, and I'm, as you know, super budget conscious, and
Little.
we're very budget conscious, and treat others in others' budgets in the same, the way that I treat my own. And that's
Absolutely.
really prudent, really a prudent awareness of spending. But if
Yeah.
there's anywhere people should spend, and by Grow included, it's from a sales perspective, from a marketing perspective, and then making sure operations obviously are tightened up.
Absolutely. If you don't have move-ins, you don't have revenue. And if
That's
you don't
right.
have revenue, you don't have a business.
That
So
is correct. That is correct. And I think another thing too, as a CEO, is we follow the traction process, Gino Wickman, and the visionary and integrator, the roles. And if you're not aware of, I highly recommend it. It's even if you don't own your own business, when you work in a job, you're running your own business. And it's really important, critical that I stay in that visionary role. And in starting a business, you do everything. And I still do quite a bit in the business. But as we're continuing to build the team out, being able to pull out of the business and have others work in the business and work in our optimum role, right? Just like when we talk about salespeople, what should you be doing? Well, in senior living, it's tours, phone calls, and planning and outreach,
yep.
really. So those other things that are maybe necessary, some of them aren't. So you get rid of the stuff that's not necessary. There's certain things that are required we have to do, but really staying, okay, am I doing tours, anything around getting tours and planning for those tours and that outreach and those home visits? Say, I have to ask myself the same. I challenged you, say, Dresden, your pie is sliced in 8 different ways. I need you to get that down to 3 slices, and that's how you divide your time. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I have a business coach, right? And my business coach it helps me look on my business, because when you're in it, it's tougher to look on it. And
It's
it's
hard
really,
to go up. And I think that that's really great. One of the things that I've really loved about your mentorship over these last several years, decade, is that I love that you've always been this visionary. You've always seen the bigger picture, always have ideas for growth, and looking through that. That's one of the traits that I really admire in you, Julie, is that I've always said I would love to be a fly in your brain for just 5 or 10 minutes to see how it how it bounces around, because you have a beautiful mind and you have so many really, really fantastic ideas that the feedback that I get from the people when you're not around is, wow, Julie's really brilliant. And what she's doing with Grow Your Occupancy is really incredible. So I want to let you know that there's a lot of people that big fans of Julie Podewitz. So
I think that the mind, I don't know if my husband would agree, that because it does it, what I appreciate right now in the business, at the stage of the business we're in, is I am able to act upon that, some of those visionary components, because I do understand from people telling me that I tend to work fast. I know I work fast, but I do like to, okay, what else, what else, what else? And if I'm thinking about what else, we need to execute on the what nows, right?
yeah,
And continuing to learn. And I love to learn. I do. That's another thing. I absolutely love to learn. You know this. I'm an avid reader. I'm a podcast listener. I love Audible books. And it's not always, oh, I'm studying, constantly, because I love fiction and nonfiction and things that I do for fun. But to me, that's still learning, like documentaries and things like that. But look, and listening to other people and going to conferences, and what is the state of the industry, right? And what does it look like now? Where are there gaps? And my mind also works as an architect, and like putting it together. Like, how is this all going to work? And that's why Solving the Occupancy Puzzle was a perfect title for my book, because for me, I look at what the outcome is, and then, all right, how did we get to there? It's very
hmm
specifically, what are the components of that? And then what parts of those components are missing or not, or are not working? And
hmm
that's the problem to go, or that's the piece of the puzzle, if you will, to address first. Then there's usually several of them or little bits and pieces of different areas instead of guessing. Guessing. And some of it, I mean, some of it is if it was a perfect one, push this button, we would all do that. But I'm able to, and that's what I want to help our, continue to teach and grow our internal team to think in that same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So kind of shifting gears here with you, Julie, you've talked about the vision, you've talked about integrating the vision, you've talked about where we've started, where we are now. So my question for you now is, where are we headed for 2025 and beyond? Here comes your visionary.
Well, you as my chief sales person, chief sales operator there, is tripling. We're going to triple revenue, triple sales this year.
Amen.
Yes. And we have plans for next year to then triple at least again. And I feel very confident in that. I'm working on an app that should be coming out hopefully this year. Third edition of my book, Resolving the Occupancy Puzzle. It is going to be highly edited, meaning that if person has the first book, the second edition is a Kindle edition, which had been revised and updated, and that was done a year and a half ago. This is highly, and it's focused, highly revised and updated. And I didn't start a new book, but this one is like almost that. It's just along the same lines. It's got a lot of the same content, similar content, but I also address specifically to sales people too. So, I mean, sales directors, so regionals, VPs, sales directors. I've added quite a bit. I'm really excited about that and expanding our marketing and expanding our Grow Your Operations division.
That's very exciting. All of that's super exciting. I'm excited about, well, of course, I'm excited about your book because, of course, I have Solving the Occupancy Puzzle. I have our workbook. And if you don't have your workbook, listeners, please go grab it because it's just a great little roadmap for you to do your job and do it well and effectively. But I'm very excited for this third installment of Resolving the Occupancy Puzzle. And really, really pumped about this Grow Your Operations. I think that there's such a huge need in our industry. It's not just sales where we need things. You had mentioned, sales and operations, they go hand in hand. I used to have a COO that said, you've got to, as a sales director, you got to be able to tell your executive director that their feet stink. Like that's got to be, your relationship is that close between sales and operations that you can be like, hey, your feet are stinky, put your shoes back on.
Now that's a very tight relationship.
It's a very tight relationship and it can be a little daunting, but when you happily marry those two disciplines within a community, the sky's the limit. So why wouldn't we do something like that? I think that that's really cool to watch, and I'm excited to be part of that. Like I said before, I'm on the bus and I'm happy to be here and I'm not going anywhere. My seatbelts are tied. Like I have multiple.
Fasten for the Grow Bus. Well, we're very glad you're on the Grow Bus. No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, you're right. Operations, sales, we do that within our own company. We're sales, we have ops. We're talking about being in lockstep, sales and operations. I think another thing too that is wise for entrepreneurs, but I think for everybody, because like I said, no matter what you do, you run your home, you're running a business. Running a business. Think about it in those terms. How we spend our time, where we should be spending time. But another thing about Grow and the people on the team is it's high confidence, low ego. That's really important to me because none of us are all that. And as soon as we think we're all that, everything falls apart. And your mind shuts that if you know everything already, or you're closed off to another way or another approach, that it's over, in my opinion. So that be very confident in what you do and be very confident in who you are, and then have that low ego. And I really admire our clients because our clients are coming to the table with tons and tons of knowledge, tons of experience, doing so many things right. And they're looking at, okay, let's take an objective look on the business. We're not objective anymore. We don't have a fresh set of eyes on our business. It's like looking at your child. You do not have a fresh set of eyes. Some people are a little bit more objective in those types of relationships, but you're still, if you're a loved one of, or, of a connection to this other human, the person, in front of you, that you're connected to in whatever way you're connected, you lose some objectivity. And so I really admire, I mean, you and I just were, well, I was listening in, you and Lori finished a SWOT analysis for a client, and the way in which he received information was so classy. And just, I thought, no, there's a leader, is so open to,
I couldn't agree with you more.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, I love that. I love that
Open
about,
to that
yeah,
feedback. You
yeah,
know, I love what you're saying there is that there's always room for growth. There's always room for
yeah.
opportunity to grow and to learn. And no matter what, no matter if it's with your job, no whether it's your personal life, whatever look that is. But you're so right when somebody's like, oh, I know it all. I can't possibly do this any differently. Well, I'm a walking billboard of that. Like I said, I was a very successful sales director. And then I started working with you and using our sales system of Grow. And
Yeah.
I hit my highest move-in month, ever in my career. And I'd been doing it for, at that point, what, 15 years, something like that. So, uh, there's always room for improvement. And if you're always willing to kind of open your mind and say, huh, there's probably a different way to do this, or there could be a better way, or maybe I just tweak it this way and learn a little bit more about this. Um, then then you're going to be open to whatever is coming to you.
It's out
And
there,
if you're
exactly,
closed off, you're going to get that
exactly.
conversion. Since we speak a lot in conversions, that conversion rate is going to go down if you're
Mhm.
not willing to open your shades just a little bit or
Yeah.
listen to something that's going to perpetuate, send you forward, launch you forward.
Yeah, from wherever you are, at any level of whatever component or aspect of your life, there's people who are just in that continuous pursuit of learning. Or
Mhm.
you said the door's open, and then there's others that,
Yeah.
maybe it's halfway, but yeah, it's for me, it's wide open. There are things, that I know, and there, for example, there are, that I know doing these things and doing them well will yield a success. Working a workflow and working in a system in an organized, systematic way will increase productivity. And certain mindsets, and certain being able to even using certain phrases and working having prompts, and because prompts are form our habits, right?
Mhm.
Verbiage prompts, and having a list of questions. Some people really push back on that, but it's proven, and it proved over and over and over again. And a mentor years ago said to me, and I'll never forget it, when you want to do something, or you look to the person who's successful in that, and then mirror them. If they're
Yep.
not, able to help you one-on-one, or in a course, whatever, mirror whatever it is that they're doing. And you certainly put your own spin on things in your own style, but hey, look, don't reinvent the wheel. If
Right.
something's working, I'm going to try that,
And I think that that's really a great point too, is that look for the people in your life that you really admire. They've been successful, or they've written a book, or they've launched a podcast, or they've made $1 million in 5 days. Oh, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, obviously. But if you have somebody that you just really are like gravitating to, watching their success, whatever that success looks like for you, then go dive into what's
yeah,
behind that. Get to the root of it. And
yeah.
I think it comes from, I mean, like I avidly listen to specific podcasts, but I get through them very quickly when the new episodes come up. So I'm
Mhm.
constantly looking for new ways to do things, or if there's things that are coming up personally or professionally that keep kind of coming up, then I'm digging into podcasts, and I may listen to 5 or 10 minutes of one and realize, this isn't really the right direction or whatever, but
Mhm.
I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop looking for what that right one is going to
Right, you're
be.
looking, right, exactly. Just keep looking.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too. Just keep going. Just keep
Yeah.
going.
Keep going. Just keep swimming.
Just keep going. Yep.
Yes. Well, Julie, it has truly been an honor to interview you today and have you be our guest versus the host. And I always enjoy my time with you. It's never enough.
Well, thank you so much for having me as your guest, Dresden, on the
Absolutely.
Grow Your Occupancy podcast.
That's right. On this Grow Your Occupancy podcast. And remember, practice polite persistence in all things.
Thank you for listening to the end, through to the end of our podcast. If you like, subscribe, or give us a rating, it helps other people find us, and I really appreciate. Talk to you next time on the Grow Your Occupancy podcast.
See you next time.
We'd like to thank Advantage Anywhere for sponsoring this episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. At Advantage Anywhere, we understand senior living communities. Our customizable CRM and automation system is designed to help you convert more leads into move-ins faster, easier, and with less manual effort. With personalized follow-up automations, your team can focus on what matters most, spending time with prospects to get more move-ins. Visit www.advantageanywhere.com to see how we can help you get more move-ins with less stress.